Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Advisory Health Council's Wellness Spotlight. The World Health Organization's ranking of the world's health systems ranks the USA number 37, behind countries like Costa Rica, Dominica, and Chile. With research showing that one of the leading causes of unnecessary death in the U.S. being medical treatment, people have been looking for better ways to become and remain healthy. Archaeological evidence has clearly demonstrated that one such discipline, shamanism, has been in existence for 40,000 years. What is it about the practice of shamanism that has stood the test of time? With us today is Elaine Egidio, a licensed counselor in the state of New Jersey, a board-certified dance movement therapist, and director of Dancing Winds Therapy in Atlantic Highlands. Elaine is also a shamanic practitioner and is here to share her insights with us today. Elaine Egidio, welcome to the Wellness Spotlight.
Thank you.
So Elaine, tell us a little bit about your background and experience.
Well, as you had said, I am a dance movement therapist, a New Jersey mental health counselor, and I'm also a shamanic practitioner. And for me, I feel like I have been practicing a shamanic worldview since I was 4 years old. Because I remember being in our backyard, we had this wonderful stage that my father got from the town. And I'd be out there dancing and singing and just being so happy to be outside, laying on my back, looking at the clouds, finding the cloud shapes, thinking of questions and putting them out, opening my eyes, and who was there in the sky. I was hiding in the trees because they were my friends and they could help me when I needed to have a place to just be still. However, formally, I started probably around 1986, I think, where I was involved in a group, and part of the group was to go to a beginning workshop from the Foundation for Shamanic Studies. So I said, oh, all right, whatever. And Ken, I felt like I'd come home. The first time we did a shamanic journey and I went to the place that we call the lower world in non-ordinary reality, I felt like I'd come home. And then I went to graduate school to become a dance therapist, put the shamanic things on the side. I had a health crisis. I went to the medical doctors, but I also went to a shamanic counselor, and I was back home again. I was back home again, and I really feel like for me, being a shamanic practitioner, being a dance therapist, being a counselor, it's all just one package that really serves the people I work with in many, many, many different aspects. Yeah.
What is it about shamanic practice that resonates so strongly with you?
Well, you know, it's the connection with my compassionate helping spirits that I meet when I go into what we call a journey to non-ordinary reality. I use percussive instruments, a drum, a rattle, sometimes singing, and meeting pure compassion, pure wisdom, pure love and joy. And I know that I'm never alone. Also, in that state of non-ordinary reality, I also can meet with the spirits of the trees and the birds and the plants and just everything. And it's just such a full, rich place we live in, and we don't always get to meet those parts of all that we see.
Elaine, you have to pardon me, because
that's okay.
You know, I'm just learning about this with a lot of our viewers today. You know, the last time I ever heard people describing an experience like this was in the late 60s and early 70s. You know, where people are using help.
Right.
You know, they say that if you remember the 60s, you weren't there.
Right. Well, I do remember the 60s, and I was there. However, when I have a shamanic journey, I use percussive instruments. There are some people, and certainly a lot of the indigenous communities that are in places that perhaps a drum would warp, they do use the psychotropic drugs or medicines, the plant spirit medicine. And they don't just use it just to get high, they use it as a co-creation, a collaboration with the spirit of the plant, and then also the psychedelic part of, or the mood altering, mind altering. However, I use a drum, drum or rattle, and we have found that that percussive beat at a certain rate, it's scientifically proven that it does change your brain waves, and you're into that that mind-altering state of journey.
I want to back up a second, okay? Because we're getting deep into it. It seems to me like we're getting deep into it right away.
Right.
Exactly what is shamanism, or the practice of shamanism? Exactly what is it?
Well, shamanism has been around that we know of at least 40,000 years, according to archaeological findings, which actually I might like to add means that all of us have shamanic cultures in our DNA. And it's a way of going into the journey state, the altered state of consciousness, to meet in non-ordinary reality, compassionate helping spirits to bring forth healing and to alleviate pain and suffering in our world.
What is non-ordinary reality?
Well, that's a term that Carlos Castaneda had coined, and it means that it's not this reality that we live in right now. Right here and right now. It's in that reality that you meet when you go into that altered state of consciousness.
Now, what's the purpose of doing that?
Well, the purpose of doing that is to connect with and meet with known compassionate helping spirits to bring forth healing or perhaps divination. Like, you know, back in our ancestors' days, it would be like, where's the hunt? Where are the deer going to be? Where are the elk going to be, so that we can feed our tribe? Today's culture, we can use that to what would I need to do to work with? Say you came to me as a client. What would I need to do for Ken? What does he need today for his healing? Or perhaps when I run journey circles, what would be something that the journey circle could work on so that we can have personal healing and community healing? If there's a crisis, what work can I do to help those in crisis? What work can I do to help, say, souls, people who have died, help souls move to the next stage? That's a lot of purposes. Sometimes I have to admit I do journey when I'm traveling, is what do I need to bring so I don't bring too many clothes and I'm definitely warm enough.
So is this a shift in consciousness?
It's a shift in consciousness, yes.
Now, why does that shift have to take place? Why can't we get to that state in our present state?
Well, it's a discipline. In this way, you definitely know that you're meeting with known compassionate spirits. For example, when we go to the lower world, we make sure that we go through a certain tunnel in different places so that we know that we're in a place where there's known compassionate spirits. Here in the world that we live in, there's lots of spirits going around. And so we want to make sure that we're working with the ones that we know and that are co-creating with us health and wellness.
As a shamanic practitioner, if I were to come to you with, I mean, well, first of all, who does come to you for your expertise?
Well, a lot of different people come. People who are interested. We have some known things, techniques that we do in shamanic healing. So there's something called soul retrieval, power animal retrieval, extraction work, psychopomp, and other sorts of healing work that people would need. Soul retrieval, oftentimes if you say, well, gee, you know what, I've been feeling kind of down, I've been ill, I've had misfortune, you know, then we might say, well, gee, maybe you need a soul retrieval. Perhaps part of you left, just a little part of you left to go into hiding when a trauma happened, even like a car accident, an operation. Oftentimes people say after that operation, I just haven't felt the same. Or long-standing, say, abuse, say childhood abuse and trauma. That's all. We all experience a little bit of soul loss. Power animal retrieval, there again, it's a loss of spiritual power. We're all born with power animals, and then sometimes they kind of go off for a while. So we would do a power animal or a soul retrieval, filling you back up with spiritual power.
Now, where does this power and energy come from?
In the world of non-ordinary reality of pure compassion.
Okay, so, you know, the movie Avatar was out.
Oh, wasn't that great?
Yeah, I loved it. And Avatar, the theme of Avatar is that all things in the universe, in that universe at least, or in the universe, are connected.
And that's true in this universe, too.
That there's a universal oneness and an energy that flows through all things.
Exactly.
And the native culture of that planet was very much in tune with that.
Right.
Is that what you're talking about?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly it. And all of the indigenous communities, our ancestors knew that we are all connected. Even this table. You might say, well, is it real wood? It's got enough wood in it that this table, we're connected to the wood from this table. We're all connected.
Now, that's familiar to most of us, especially in understanding a little bit about Native American culture.
Correct.
How did we get so distant from that? It just seems like that's so separate from where we are right now.
Well, it really is, isn't it? It really is. First, I need to say that the kind of shamanism that I practice is called core shamanism. So what has been done by the Foundation for Shamanic Studies is that the core principles and practices from many indigenous communities have been kind of pulled out and put together. So I don't practice Native American shamanism, or I don't practice Tuvan, Siberian shamanism. I practice core shamanism. However, in shamanism, you have direct revelation. You can lie down, put the headset on, once you've learned how to do this, and put the drumming headset on, or drum for yourself, or rattle for yourself, and go into this state of non-ordinary reality. And you can connect with your compassionate, helping spirits. And, well, I don't know, some people might not want you to have all that knowledge, And so there's been a pulling back. And also, oh, those are the old ways. That's silly. We want to have more modern things. And so we've pulled ourselves away from it. However, it really seems like we're kind of full circling around, doesn't it?
Well, maybe we didn't circle around at all because it's been there for 40,000 years.
40,000 years, exactly. Yeah.
We live in a community with many different theological backgrounds.
Right.
What does this have to do with a person's belief in God, and that God is responsible for their healing and in their life?
In shamanism, this is a spiritual practice, a spiritual tradition. It's not a religion. It's very possible that shamanism is the basis for many of our religions, but we won't talk about that right now. If you want to know how God is involved with your healing, you can journey on it and say, well, is there a difference? What's going on here? And God is really all-encompassing. I mean, that's the way I look at it. God is all-encompassing, and so I am connecting with the divine when I'm bringing forth this healing power, this healing energy for healing, for wisdom.
What's the view of shamanic practitioners as it relates to illness compared to Western medicine?
Well, illness, according to shamanism, is a loss of power, as I had said, explained with perhaps soul loss or power with your compassionate helping spirits. Also, we look at illness as perhaps there's an intrusion, something that just doesn't belong. And so that needs to be removed, and then the healing can happen. That's
very interesting, because yes, there are some disciplines that say illness results as a loss of health, that something's missing.
Right.
That illness comes from less health.
Right.
But are you suggesting, as a shamanic practitioner, that illness represents the presence of something that doesn't belong there?
That could be. It could be the loss of, or it could be the presence of something that doesn't belong. And also, when there's something that you have a loss of, then sometimes something might move in, an intrusion, we call them an intrusion, that kind of fills the space. I used to say to my clients when I worked in addictions, kind of think of yourself as a piece of Swiss cheese, and you've experienced this power loss, this soul loss, and then your addiction kind of went in and filled all the places up. So let's get rid of the addiction, and let's bring back your spiritual power. Let's bring back who you really are, who you came into this world to be.
What are some of the things in our lifestyle that causes a person to lose some of their spiritual power?
Well, if we've experienced trauma or abuse, that definitely disempowers us.
So it could be physical or mental trauma?
Physical, mental, emotional, sexual. If we've had accidents, if we've sometimes even having someone speak harshly to you, like in school, if you were, say, bullied. then there's a piece of you that just goes away. And then we would say, oh, he has low self-esteem. It's kind of the same thing. It's, they kind of go hand in hand. Accidents, surgeries, those are a few that we would lose our spiritual power. We also give it away sometimes. We also, remember Janis Joplin, take another little piece of my heart now, baby?
Yeah.
Well, we sometimes do. We give pieces of ourselves away to other people also.
So how long does it take for somebody to be able to get this back?
Well, if you can come to a shamanic practitioner and they can perform a soul retrieval and or a power animal retrieval or an extraction and or all. And there's also work where sometimes we have maybe spirits that aren't really ours that need to be helped to move on. And it could be a couple visits. It could sometimes be a little bit longer than that. I've had people come to me for, say, soul retrieval. And then we also then work on the psychological results of what they lost, and kind of, it's a nice little package. So I can't really say how long. Shamanism often is about miracles. I had someone come to me today. I did a soul retrieval right before I came here.
Yes, tell us about some of the interesting cases that you've seen.
I saw her 2 weeks ago, and she came to me then for a soul retrieval. And I said, my helping spirit said, no, she's not ready for that. Just do a clearing.
Now, why did she come to you for a soul retrieval?
For a soul retrieval, because she had a traumatized upbringing, and she had things that she hadn't really felt comfortable about, that she'd been dabbling in. Like you said, if you remember, if you were in the 60s, you might not remember things like that. And we did some clearing. I was prescribed by my helping spirits to do clearing. Just do clearing. Just take out what she doesn't need. Let go of what no longer serves her. And today we did the soul retrieval, and she said, I lost 7 pounds since last time I saw you. So it's just, having just released and let go of what you didn't need. And also some of those were behaviors and patterns that weren't serving her. So say if I was working with her straight counseling, we would maybe work on what her unhealthy behaviors were. We didn't have to do that.
So how many years have you been doing this now, Elaine?
As I said, I took my first basic in '86. And I went back to taking the weekend trainings in '94 when I became, when I kind of finished what I needed to in dance therapy to be able to practice as a private practitioner. And so at least '94, yeah.
Tell us about some of the physical issues that some of the people you've helped have come to you with.
Pre-surgery, people have come who were told that they were going to need surgery, and after our work, they didn't.
Like for what type of problem?
Even cancer,
so,
which is a little, but yeah.
Yeah, you're not allowed to treat anybody who has cancer, and you're not treating them.
Well, I'm not treating them. I'm just, because with shamanism, we don't talk about curing.
Right.
We talk about healing. And sometimes healing means that we're no longer going to be here in this physical body. Sometimes...
Wait a minute, let's stop right there.
Yes.
Now, normally when we talk about not being in your physical body,
right,
that's either dead,
right,
or drug-induced,
correct,
or some kind of altered
correct
state.
Well,
so
sometimes, a lot of times in our culture we believe that when we go to people have an illness, that the only outcome that we expect is that we will be cured, and that will mean that we will still be here alive on this earth. From a shamanic practitioner's perspective, sometimes healing means that you're just able to leave this earth and die in a more gentle way. I mean, I don't have people come to me that I just, but sometimes...
You're not the Jack Kevorkian of shamanism.
No. I know. What I say to my clients or people that reach out to me is, I'd like to co-create your health.
Okay.
I'd like to co-create it with you because I need you to be involved in it. I'm not just going to do stuff. You need to be involved. Your helping spirits, me, my helping spirits, we just come, all of us, and work together and co-create your health.
So what is it about a shamanic experience that would help somebody who has cancer be able to heal themselves?
Well, it would empower them, because sometimes it would help them release what no longer serves them. Like sometimes, like people have talked about, oh, I've been angry my whole life, and every time I get angry, I feel it in this spot, and oh, lo and behold, there's where your cancer is. So let's release the anger. Let's release the need for being angry. Let's release the cancer, the need to have, maybe to be dramatic. And then let's bring in health. Let's do some spiritual healing to bring in your soul essence, to bring in your power animal. And let's see how that all works. And that also sometimes might give you the impetus that you need to perhaps change the way you look at life, perhaps change the way you eat, perhaps many, many, many things.
Now, do you have certain protocols that you follow or examination procedures that other practitioners may use to be able to understand what may be going on with that person and be able to follow a course of care that you think is going to be most appropriate for them? Or is it something that you feel more intuitively?
Well, I believe, for me, intuition is that connection with my helping spirits. So I tune in. Sometimes I journey, sometimes now, because I have been doing this for as long as I have and done a lot of advanced training, but we're always still a baby. I don't want to sound like I'm a know-it-all. We're always a baby, and yet, because of this relationship that I have, sometimes I can just be quiet and tune in and listen, and sometimes I do journey. What does this person need? How will this help this person? And then what does this person need to do on their own? I give a lot of homework.
Elaine, if I understand you correctly, if you're tuning into universal intelligence and connecting with the person that you're with, then am I right in understanding that that means that you're also exposed to that negative energy or thing that they may be harboring inside of them? Now you're exposed to it. Does it threaten you?
Because I'm working with known compassionate helping spirits, and because sometimes we become one, that spiritual power, that spiritual connection is what helps to protect. Not to say that I don't cleanse and take salt baths and sage my room and, and thank you very much for keeping me safe. Wear jewelry, sacred jewelry, yes, of course. Of course. I mean, I don't just kind of willy-nilly skip around. It's as I said, it's a discipline. So I'm staying with that. And yes, if someone comes in and I know that there's things that are disharmonious, I try to look at it, words are so important. So I try to look at it as disharmonious or confused energy. Even anger, like I don't consider anger a negative emotion. I consider it an emotion that depends on how we use it, either if we internalize it or externalize it, can have some not so harmonious results.
I see. In about a minute, could you give us an idea of the experience that somebody has when they come to you for the very first time?
Well, if they've done some reading, they know a little bit what to expect. So they'll come in, we'll sit, well, first we'll take our shoes off, see if they need some water, we'll sit, and I just start to talk with them and chat with them and see what it is that they're looking for, what it is they're comfortable with. Sometimes maybe the first time I'll just do some very gentle healing for them because, to get things really shook up sometimes rattles us. And sometimes it's like I'm told, nope, just go in there and do the extraction or do the soul retrieval or do something really major. One of the things I love to do, I love to sing. And I've been being instructed a lot by helping spirits to maybe sing into their heart, to do a lot of heart healing. We've been doing a lot of heart healing lately. And if there's a body part that maybe has been harmed or traumatized or is sore or had a surgery, I would perhaps sing a song of health to that body part. I'll sage or use, whatever incense that I'm using of the day to clear things, and drum, rattle, and try to have them feel as comfortable as possible with the work and with me.
Elaine, how would you answer people who may think that this is just mind over matter, and the people who are having these great responses from the work that you do would have had them anyway, and that you know, crystals and drumming and, you know, all of these things, you know, it doesn't really have much scientific basis from their perspective. What would you say to them?
Well, I would say shamanism has been around for 40,000 years, and the reason that we still have it in this day and age is because it works. And that's what I would say. What
are the fees for consulting with a shamanic practitioner on average?
On average, it could depend. For me, what I say to people is I don't have a set fee for healing work. I can't, because I don't want to turn you away if you can't afford to come. So I do give you what the fee as for 1 hour when I do counseling, and then ask you to kind of connect with your prosperity thoughts and feelings and do what's fair. And sometimes I even ask people, just wrap it up in something, put it in an envelope. I don't want to know what it is. And people are very fair. People are very fair. The work is honored, and I'm just so grateful to be able to do this work. I feel like this is why I'm here on this earth.
We've talked about a lot of things. Is there anything that you feel we haven't discussed that you feel would enable our viewers to get to understand more about shamanic practice and the value that it would have in their life?
Well, it helps someone to know that you're not alone. It helps connect you in a direct way with compassion and pure love. It helps to understand that we are all connected, and in which we will act towards each other with more respect, with more love. We're able to inspire each other more. And it doesn't mean that every time you study shamanism, even if you went to a weekend workshop, that you would then have to go out, quit your job as a chiropractor and just do shamanic healing. I've been told that there's chiropractors who practice shamanism, and what they do is they journey on the spine to see right where things need to be adjusted that day.
I have to confess to you that when I'm taking care of people, I almost feel like I'm in this zone.
Right.
You know, now I've already done all of my examinations, I've x-rayed the patient, I've done my due diligence, and I have a lot of technology in my office that enables me to measure that.
Right.
But when I'm finally with the patient, and maybe it's 30 years of experience, but something that goes into it that enables me to sense what's going on and be able to help that person.
Exactly. I bet you just kind of give a little bit of your ego, open up to divine inspiration. I see that in your eyes, Ken.
Elaine, you know, you're such a delight, and I could speak to you for hours, but we have to wrap things up. Thank you so much for being on the Wellness Spotlight today.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure.
This concludes another segment of the East Brunswick Advisory Health Council's Wellness Spotlight. I'm Dr. Ken Friedman, President of the East Brunswick Advisory Health Council, reminding you that wellness works when you work it.